I didn't grow up with guidance. I didn't grow up with safety. I grew up fighting the world, and most of all, fighting myself. My name is Mike Tyson, and this is how chaos forged a champion. I was born in Brownsville, Brooklyn. If you know anything about it, you know it's a place that teaches you lessons the hard way. Poverty wasn't just a word, it was the air we breathed. Violence wasn't on the news, it was outside your window, on your street corner. And fear was a constant companion. It wakes you up and it puts you to bed. My father wasn't in the picture. He left, and that was that. A ghost in my own life story. My mother, she was a warrior, but she struggled. She fought her own battles, and raising a wild kid like me was one of her toughest. So, the streets became my home, my school, my playground. Long before I learned the meaning of discipline, I learned the rules of survival. It was a simple code: be tough or get broken. I was arrested over 30 times before I was even a teenager. Fights, petty crime, running with the wrong crowd. That was my entire world. I was a kid full of rage, with no idea where to point it. I felt like a stray dog, just looking for a scrap, looking for a fight, because that was the only thing that made me feel like I existed. I was invisible until I threw a punch. Then, a name entered my life that changed everything. Cus D'Amato. I was in a juvenile detention center, and he came to see me. This old, wise, Italian guy. He looked at me, this troubled kid who everyone had written off, and he saw something different. He saw a fighter, but not just a street brawler. He saw a champion. He saw something in me that I couldn't even imagine, let alone see in myself. Cus took me in. He literally took me out of that life and brought me into his home. He became my legal guardian. More than that, he became my father. He became the mentor I never had, the compass that finally gave my life direction. He didn't just teach me how to box. Anyone can teach you how to throw a punch. Cus taught me the science, the art, the philosophy of fighting. He called it the peekaboo style. Hands high, chin tucked, constant movement. It was about being elusive, explosive, and psychologically intimidating. He taught me discipline. Waking up at the crack of dawn to run in the cold. The endless hours in the gym, hitting the bag until my knuckles were raw. He drilled technique into my very soul. But the most important thing he taught me was how to channel my anger. That fire that had gotten me into so much trouble. Cus showed me how to turn it into fuel. How to transform raw, chaotic rage into focused, precise, devastating power. He'd say, fear is your best friend. Fear is like fire. You learn to control it. You can cook with it. You let it control you. It'll burn you and everything around you. So, I trained. I lived and breathed boxing. Under Cus's guidance, I became a machine, an amateur sensation. And then, the pros. The world wasn't ready. On November 22, 1986, at just 20 years, 4 months and 22 days old, I stepped into the ring against Trevor Berbick, and I stepped out as the youngest heavyweight champion in history. The knockout was brutal. The world was in shock. I was a force the world had never seen. I wasn't just a boxer. I was an event. People tuned in not to see if I would win, but to see how quickly I would win. Explosive power, terrifying speed. I was Iron Mike, the baddest man on the planet. I felt invincible. I was on top of the world. A kid from the gutter who now had everything. Money, fame, power. But fame is a storm, and a storm will always find the cracks in your foundation. My foundation, built on chaos and trauma, was never prepared for that kind of hurricane. Cus had passed away a year before I won the title. My compass was gone, and I was lost. My personal life spiraled into its own kind of chaos. Bad decisions, listening to the wrong people, losing the discipline that had made me who I was. The headlines shifted from my knockouts in the ring to my blow-ups outside of it. Mistakes. Controversies. A messy public divorce. My life was a spectacle. Then, the floor fell out completely. Prison. 3 years of my life gone. Locked in a cell. The baddest man on the planet was powerless. It was a time for reflection, but also a time where my demons got louder. I tried to come back, and for a while, it worked. The comeback was powerful. I won titles again. The money flowed back in, but I was still fighting. The wrong opponent. I was fighting myself. The anger, the insecurity, the pain from my childhood, it was all still there, festering beneath the surface. And then came the losses. The shocking upset to Buster Douglas. The infamous earbite fight with Evander Holyfield. I lost. I fell. Hard. The world that had built me up into a god now tore me down as a monster. I became a caricature of my former self. A punchline. And then, I disappeared. I went bankrupt, broken in spirit and in wallet. The fire was gone. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. There's nowhere else to go but up. Redemption isn't a single moment. It's a long, painful, everyday process. It's about looking in the mirror and finally facing the person staring back at you. Not the champion, not the monster, but the man. The broken kid from Brooklyn. I had to rebuild myself from scratch. Not as a fighter, but as a human being. I sought help. I started to understand my own mind. I found peace in unexpected places. I found humility, a word I never understood before. I learned that true strength isn't about how hard you can hit, but about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. I found a purpose beyond violence, beyond the roar of the crowd. Today, my fight is different. I speak about growth, about discipline, about emotional control. I talk about the battle that rages inside every single one of us, the struggle between our best selves and our worst impulses. I'm not proud of every chapter in my life, but I own every single one of them. They are all part of my story. My name is Mike Tyson, and my greatest victory was never in the ring. It wasn't winning a championship belt. My greatest victory was over myself. It's a fight I'm still in every single day, and it's a fight worth winning. Thank you for listening. If my story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more.